Tonight's the big night of the budget adoption by the board, so we're just going to take a few minutes to review some of the major points behind the budget. There's nothing new. I won't say not exciting, because of course it's exciting, but there's nothing new in tonight's budget presentation that the board has not seen before. So this is, again, just a review before we move to adopt. So first, we always start with the mission of the district, and just a reminder that our budget is designed around actualizing our mission, and our efforts are driven towards this end. We have also built a budget in order to support the 6 strategies in our strategic plan. They include leadership, curriculum, wellness, communication, infrastructure and resources, and partnerships. So just to go over our timeline a little bit, we started with our budget preview, we moved to the proposed budget, then we had our 3 school level budget presentations, then we moved into our special education, technology, and athletics presentation. Soon after that, we hit our O&M, non-instructional budget, revenues, tax cap, contingency budget presentation. And here we are tonight with our adoption of the budget presentation. And the next 2 steps are to have our public hearing on May 3rd, and then the big night of May, did I say May 3rd?
You did.
That was the hearing.
Okay, good, thank you. May 3rd, and then the big night of the vote, I got all excited and a little bit ahead of myself. The annual budget vote and the school board election on May 17th. So more information will be coming out. We are looking to have all of Pleasantville come out to our middle school. I heard there's going to be some burgers and food and art and all kinds of great things. So on that night, you will see 3 things to be voted on. The first is a budget. The second is the establishment of a capital reserve fund. And thirdly, we're looking at the Pleasantville Middle School HVAC project. I'm sorry, I stole one of your slides. Come on.
That's okay, we're partners. So the first proposition is called Proposition A, which is the budget itself. And obviously, this is the most important proposition because without this, we will not be able to operate next year. And our proposed budget is $57,712,488. And that represents a 7.2% budget-to-budget increase. But the important thing is we need to note that out of that, half of it is really a one-time pass-through the general fund. Is the fund balance that is going through the general fund in order to be transferred out to the capital fund. And that is $1.9 million. The reason we need to do that is because we need that to support the capital project, the middle school capital project that we'll go through later. And so what we end up with is a tax levy change of 1.72%. Another thing that we need to note is that when we did the tax cap, this is the 10th anniversary of the tax cap law, our allowable tax cap is at 2.11%. But this budget that we're presenting represent a tax levy increase of 1.72%. So we are coming under, I'm not going to say way under, but we're definitely coming under by over $150,000. And here's the tax cap calculation. I know it's very difficult to see it on the screen because there's a lot of numbers there. I think the important thing to note is that the tax cap is you can increase by 2% or CPI, whichever is larger. I mean, whichever is smaller. Yeah. And I said the wrong thing. I was wishing to be the larger number. So the CPI last year was 4.7%, and the tax cap we are able to go up to is 2%. So that hurts. And when we go through the calculation and the tax cap allowable is 2.11%, it's $814,000, and we're coming under that at $662,000 plus increase in tax levy.
So really, the most important things that this budget will accomplish is, first and foremost, it includes all the necessary personnel that provides continuation of the same sort of programs that we are able to do right now. We know that with our size high school, we can really offer a wide depth and breadth of classes. We also keep our class sizes in our elementary and middle schools fairly small. So this includes the personnel, not just in the classroom, but outside the classroom as well. We all know personnel is the biggest part of the budget. So we are maintaining all of our necessary personnel. We're also expanding our instructional technology support services, as well as strengthening, updating, and expanding our technology infrastructure. We heard all about that when Dr. Faggio did his presentation, that we're looking to really match our needs with the expanded needs that we've incurred through COVID and through the natural progression of our instructional program, to really have the personnel to support our staff and our students and the actual technical equipment that we've acquired, as well as the infrastructure to maintain safety around all of those programs, to maintain our fleet of supplies and keep them working well in the hands of our children, who, if you have them, know that they're not always so loving and caring with their equipment. Another piece, John already talked about the tax cap and us coming in below the tax cap. And I really think the important piece about that is that we feel that we really built a budget based on what we need. And not going out to the tax cap. We've really assessed where we are and what our needs are and really tried to plan accordingly for that. The other piece is obviously the middle school HVAC bond that we have planned for with various sources of funds that we'll go over in a few minutes. I talked a little bit about the personnel, but just as a reminder, there's a couple of personnel changes that we've planned for in this budget. We have a permanent sub at the elementary school and the middle school. We have an addition of 0.52 FTE add to our 7th through 12th grade science to bring our teachers, the part-time teacher, into a 1.0 full-time teachers, currently at 0.48. We have 2 assistant coaches in our varsity boys and varsity girls basketball programs that we're adding. And we have a support staff person added to district office. Those are the additions. In terms of reductions, we have a reduction in terms of 3 teacher aide positions. Key word in there being positions, not people. So we're reducing the amount of positions that we budget for because they are not needed. So those are the personnel changes. Were you supposed to do this one, or was I? Technology? Oh, Cameron, you can do this one. Good thing he wore his sneakers. Come on. Talk all about your technology world.
There we go. Thank you. So, as far as proposed budget for next year, in terms of technology, we're looking at 2 areas. Looking at adding to the infrastructure, specifically adding a second pipe to the district to help handle sort of the overall load. It's sort of like if you have a 2-lane highway, kind of expanding to a 4-lane highway, right? Also, as we go along, the wireless access points, these are the little white things that you see up on the ceiling all throughout the district. They're sort of at the end of their life, so we're looking to upgrade those devices. As far as the personnel, we touched on that a little bit with the additional instructional technology support, so being able to support our teachers and our students with the technology that's going in the classroom. Additional cybersecurity services, we're doing a lot more with data privacy, and that's a big push for us. And then as far as data systems management, we just continue to expand. So that's another area where we're focusing a lot of energy.
Right, thank you.
Certainly. Happy to do it.
Okay, so now we go to the second proposition. This is the proposition B, and this is to establish capital reserve fund. As you can recall, on November 9th last year, the board adopted this resolution to place this proposition on the ballot. So this is going to be on the May 17th ballot. And the purpose of this is to pay for future capital improvement, whether or not in whole or in part. And this is a good long-term planning because when you see the funding sources is at the end of each school year, if we have unexpended and unassigned fund balance, then we can transfer these excess funds into this capital reserve fund. And so this is not additional cost. We are not going to have a budget line to ask for extra money to put in this line in order to be transferred into the reserve fund. It's only at the end of the school year, if we have unexpended and unassigned fund balance, then we can put that into the this capital reserve fund. So the usage, obviously this is for capital projects. But also, I think that people will think, well, where's the check and balance? The reality is that we cannot just say, oh, we want to move X dollar amount from this reserve fund into the capital funds and just make it work and to repair whatever, construct whatever. This will require voters' approval. So at the time when we need to go forward with this, obviously, the administration needs to meet with the facilities committee, and then we'll come to the entire board and make a proposal, and then the board has to approve it to place on the ballot, and then the voters will approve, and then we can transfer the funds from the capital funds to allow to use this reserve fund into the capital funds for capital projects.
The final proposition is for the middle school HVAC capital bond project. This will allow our middle school, our only building without a building management system, to have a building management system which allows for heating, cooling, dehumidification, and ventilation. So that's what the project does. This is how it is funded. There are 3 buckets of money coming in to fund the middle school HVAC project. The first is a federal grant of $1.3 million. This is part of the COVID monies from the federal grant that we have to use in 2 years. We have applied for and earned 1.3, or will be able to use $1.3 million towards the middle school HVAC project. The second funding source is monies that have come or will come from the general fund. So we have some monies. This has been a long-term identified project and need in the district. So there's $600,000 from the former $8.9 million bond that was allocated for this project. There was capital monies from the 21-22 budget that were allocated for this project. There is our capital line that we have in our budget from the 22-23 school year that are allocated for this project. And the last is $1.3 million from fund balance that is going to be used. So those are the general fund sources for money. The last is the part that we're looking for, the third thing that we're looking for voters to approve, which is a $2 million bond that we would pay back over 15 years. So the interesting part about the money is that the money used from the general fund and the money used from the bond, the state education department actually provides building aid to districts. So once this becomes an approved capital improvement project with the state education department, they actually reimburse the district at 51.6%. It's not like anything that I've ever heard, or there's like no equivalent for it. It's basically, we think you should continue to invest in keeping your buildings up to date, and since you do that, we're going to reward you with a kickback. The kickback is at 51.6%. So the interesting part about this is that depending upon what the interest rate will be for the $2 million bond, could mean that we actually pay back all of this with the 51.6%. So conceptually, it's a little convoluted to understand, but basically, maybe think about it like when you make an investment in your home and you can have like a tax write-off on it. Maybe that's the most equivalent thing I just thought of that on the spot, so, okay. Okay, there we go. It's good. We'll leave it at that. So this is a nice way to ensure that we have a healthy and safe learning environment for our students and our staff over at the middle school. Now you get to do the fun stuff.
Yes. And I just want to add one thing is that if we can borrow the money now, probably it will be definitely a break even. But the reality is that we cannot borrow until the entire project is approved by the SED, which is going to be next year, early part of next year. And this is a summer 2023 project. So we plan to finish the project by August, latest September 2023. And then because our ESSER fund is scheduled to expire at the end of September, but more than likely it could be extended. But we are planning to finish this project next summer. So this is one item I think we talked about the last time, the property tax report card. This is a required document, and that has to be presented in public, and then also after the board has adopted the budget, the property tax report card also has to be adopted. So you will see there's a board resolution in the business section. The important part, this is a complicated, again, a lot of wording, a lot of numbers. I think the important part for me is actually on there, there's a number on the right-hand side, you see $151,742. What that really is saying is that we are shy away from the tax cap by $151,000. So I just want to stress that we're not going to the tax cap. And just like Dr. Desai say, that we are really just asking for what is needed to continue to operate and improve our school district. And the second part is the reserve, the estimated at the end of March and then at the end of June. So these are the numbers that we have to provide. Okay, so the budget vote is going to be on May 17th, and the location is at the middle school, and the time is from 6:30 to 9:30, and our district clerk, I'm sorry, 6:30 to 9 o'clock p.m. 6:30 a.m. to 9 p.m. And the district clerk will reiterate this shortly.